What we are going to do here is explain to you how we are able to get a series of inputs, 4 inputs, to turn on 1 output. And we are going to prove the logic combinations necessary to be able to turn that light on. So let's start with the power circuit. We have 120 volts coming into the breaker. The breaker is off for safety. And then we show that breaker feeding into the power into the PLC. On the other side, the neutral wire, the white wire, returns back, and then we have our safety ground. That's it for power, 120 volt power. Now let's take a look at our DC power supply. First of all, when you're setting this up, you want to adjust. We've already done this, but adjust this for 24 volts. Once that's set, now we wire our circuits up. The circuits that we have are inputs 1, 2, 3, and 4. That would be, as you can see here, input 1 is push button 1. We have then input 2, and input 3 is the red push button with the lamp integrated into it. And input 1 is the proximity switch. So now we want to know what combination of inputs will turn on that output. As you can see here in our diagram, we have our Boolean equation, A, B, C, and D. And you can see 4 different terms or combinations of conditions that should turn that light on. So as I said, A is input 0, B is input 1, C is input 2, D is input 3. And remember that the prox is input 2. So the first condition that should turn that on is A is on, B is on, C is on, and D is off. Let's prove that out.
Demonstrate.
We're going to demonstrate. So we just turned power on. We're at 24 volts.
There's B.
And we're going to have A is on, B is on, C is on, D is off.
A,
B, C, not D, are in the proper conditions, and the output is on.
And then our light's on.
And the light is on. Now we look at the second term, A, B, C not, and D. That would be that 0 when 1 are on, 2 is off, and 3 is on. And you can see 1, 1, 0, 1, and output 200 is on. Now we have A, B, C, and D, all 4 on, and you can see with all 4 inputs, the output 200 is on. And then we have our last combination, A off, B, C, D on. So, and here we show A off, B, C, D on, and the output is on. So that proves out.
Okay, so this is the instruction list, the programming for our actual PLC. It's currently loaded in to our PLC. It starts with load 1, and then load 2, and then you AND the 2 and the 0 together to create one line, and then you AND load, which will then combine all 3 of these into one separate line for our first true statement. And then you start with the second one, which is load 1, load 3, and then AND 0 for the same thing. Now we have 2 separate lines that are all AND together. Then we start with our third true statement, which would be load 1, then 3, and then 2, and then we AND them all together. And then to make sure that either one would work, we OR load, which will combine the last 2 together. And then we OR load again to combine all 3, and then we set an output, and then it ends. And then that is the exact same thing we have in the PLC.
here's our given Boolean expression, which is A, B, C, not D, and all that. Then we can go here for the truth table, which we fill out with that. Then we get our ones. We put the ones into the corresponding spots on the K map. So we have 15, 14, 13, and 6.
7.
Oh, it's 7. Okay. 7, 13, 14, 15. Then we do the K-map grouping to get those combinations. And then we combine those combinations for the simplified expression.